Every day, people like you and me witness paranormal activity. Many people suffer alone, afraid of telling their stories. Their encounters remain locked away, like skeletons tapping lightly on a closet door. Join me, Blake Lewis, as we peel back the veil of our reality, searching through silence. Good evening, children of the night. So much has manifested into this reality with our little program here. Through a lot of hard work, blood, and tears. We have dedicated so much time into art thread designs and apparel that I have been finding it very difficult to hammer down a schedule for the podcast. Just having decided to currently fire out this audio content that we are chaotically taking on, essentially juggling, running, searching through silence, apparel, the podcast, and future paranormal investigations as the cards unfold. I have had a couple of emails that have intrigued me enough to dive into possibly the potential of upcoming investigations, the likes of which I am incapable of speaking on at the moment, but just know that the cogwheels are turning behind the scenes when it comes to video content. I have received stories along with locations that I am absolutely dying to strap my gear on for and set out into the darkness to further understand paranormal encounters in general and why so many people in this world suffer through these tragic events, as most of their claims fall upon deaf ears. I have also received a couple of direct mail packages from followers of the program, and I have recently removed my address from the contact list that existed at the bottom of the website because of some of the things that have been sent to me. One of which I'm going to dive into for quite a bit because of the strangeness that has transpired within my life after receiving this package. Now, I don't exactly know where the package was sent from. It arrived at my doorstep a few weeks ago and seemed absolutely normal, except there was no return address on the box. Initially, I thought it was quite peculiar. For one, it arrived overnight while I was sleeping. Red flag. Who in the hell was this from? That's all I could think of. The question kept relapsing in my thought process even when I brought it into my house and placed it on the kitchen counter, where I fired up a cup of coffee and started my morning. I stared at this box, battling my conscience on whether or not I should split the tape that sealed its contents from my baffled mind for about 10 minutes. After sipping down the remainder of my coffee, I decided to open the box and grabbed a steak knife from the kitchen drawer to cut through the sealed tape. I popped through the seam and slid the knife all the way down the packing tape, opening the box to reveal a bunch of balled up newspaper pages. wedged so tight, just smashed into the box, hiding the packages of its unknown goodies. Digging into the box further, I found yet another box, but this one now had me worried because it was an old shoebox. We all know that nothing good can come from an old shoebox found anywhere. I have seen far too many movies where there are body parts and bloody things inside of old shoeboxes, so now my nerves were slightly on edge, to say the least. I opened the box, and there it was. And what was it, you might ask? A creepy ass porcelain doll. Yep. Why? Who the hell places a porcelain doll on my doorstep in the middle of the night? Now that I brought this doll into my house, I question whether or not it was a smart idea bringing this doll across the front doorstep threshold. I had to get out the door early in the morning because I had to go to work, so I couldn't really think too hard about what I should do with it because I had to get my ass out the door immediately. So I capped the box, placed it at the top of my closet, and tried my hardest to put my mind to rest on the matter as to concentrate on the day's scheduled tasks. That was damn near impossible. At work, I couldn't get the doll out of my mind. It was haunting my thought process at work and felt like the entire situation was far too nefarious. Who would send me a doll? Who would send me a doll? Seriously. I think it's more frightening that someone purposely came to my house and placed a package on my doorstep in the middle of the night so I could find it when I awoke the next morning. What on earth are their intentions? On my way back home, thoughts of the doll slipped my mind, actually, with all the craziness that had transpired at the end of the night at my place of employment. And I was so exhausted at that point that I was struggling to even stay awake driving when I was going home. When I pulled up to my house, I went into my normal nightly routine to prepare myself for the following day. I finally winded down when suddenly I began to hear periodic tapping in my closet. I shit you not. That's when the doll immediately popped back into my goddamn mind. For some reason, my chest was engulfed with a cold, anxiety-laden state that I have not felt in some time. I mean, I have not felt nervous, scared. I go out on investigations, but I got hit with a wave, and it was off-putting. I was on edge and immediately tied the possible activity to its presence in my closet. Minus a couple of shadows that seemed to be, possible matrixing phenomenon within my room. The room itself was relatively inactive, and I was capable of dozing back off. That night, my nightmares were the most sinister nightmares that I have ever had. The events that I had foreseen were absolutely horrendous, and yes, they were demonic in nature. So much so that I do not feel comfortable speaking on the matter any further. what I had witnessed in this dreamlike state, I can't. I don't feel comfortable talking about it. I will say, I do not believe that the nightmares were figments or fragments of my thoughts, but were in fact a slippage into a far darker realm than I could pretend to have existed. I woke with a cold sweat, freezing cold, slight memory loss for a few moments, and trying to gather my thoughts. The whole 9 yards of a paranormal experience. I sprang awake, and I was immediately hit with a wave of nausea and tingling in my lower extremities, like I had a lack of blood flow. I mean, like pins and needles. I sat on my bed and I allowed my body to recover while I was grasping at the tangled events that I went through. Ultimately coming to the realization that I allowed something nefarious into my home. Plain and simple. I've seen too many situations like this on past paranormal investigations that I have attended. Strange item comes into play. A rash of paranormal activity begins to manifest around the house. The energy or entity latches onto a single host and begins to feed off of their fears and overall energetic output. But now, the tables turned. I was now finding myself in this type of situation. My initial reaction was to fire up one of my programs and allow any spirit around me to potentially answer some questions. So I did so, which probably actually wasn't the smartest thing that I could have done in that situation. Yes, I understand, but my crazy ass curious brain can't help myself from getting in trouble. I did gain some knowledge from my initial contact with one of the applications that the entity informed me through that it had no name, but identified as a masculine energy. He and I came to an agreement that he will be addressed as Malachi for his name within our physical dimension. I do want to bring up a couple of points that I found very intriguing when contacting this entity. I realized that he agreed to be called Malachi when he was in this realm. That immediately makes me believe that he is not constantly attached to this doll, and he was speaking as if he was not from this realm to begin with. If that is in fact the case, the doll is merely a vessel or a portal of some sort between dimensions, and that, to me, is unbelievably intriguing. The doll itself would then be considered a gateway, not just a vessel. Now that we all caught up to date, we can begin to talk about what steps I will be taking moving forward. I do plan on diving completely into a full-blown investigation. I mean, like, the works, all measures that I can pull out of my little backpack. Bam! I am going to document anything that I might be able to get to manifest from the doll to further understand either A, the doll's origins, or B, the entity's intentions. As soon as I have any further information when it comes to when I'm going to be releasing any of the potential content of me investigating Malachi and finding out anything else additional about this doll in general, I am going to immediately post it. I I want to keep everybody as informed as possible because, truth be told, I'm not stupid. This is very intriguing, even to you as a listener. So why not take this opportunity to see if we can stir up some activity and bring a little enlightenment to all of us when it comes to learning that much more about the paranormal in general and what its true intent is when it comes to the living. With that final thought, I implore you, if you have not done so already, to go to www.searchers.shop and check out all of our apparel that we have, because we have taken so much time to create some of the sickest threads that you can potentially grab for super cheap prices compared to any of the other pricing options out there. So why not pitch in a little bit, help support local business, and buy yourself a shirt. They're only $20 a shirt. That is not going to break anyone's pocket. So take a look, pick out your favorites. Now that we are about to sign off, I will also remind you to stay safe, sleep well, and keep your wits about you.